Chicago live, Mild Sauce Saturdays. We're back. And with that switch up, it's time for another episode of Steve Breit's Rock Discovery Show. How you doing,
And
Jake?
we're back again. I'm the man off the screen, Jay Krez, back here producing, trying to make everything run smoothly. Hopefully you guys are hearing me right now. I think you are. That's great. That's great news. We're back. Mild Sauce. It's kind of hot. Steve Breit Rock Discovery Show, episode 11. We're calling this one Back to the Windy. We're giving a big shout out to all our friends over at DIY Chicago. We got a lot of great recommendations from you guys this week, and we're going to put a lot of those on the show.
Yep. As the title suggests, we were traversing the Atlantic and here listening to a lot of stuff from Ireland on last week's episode. So we are back in the Windy. We are back in town, back in Chicago, back in the Chicagoland area. We got a couple of outliers today, but we are all local Illinois bands this week. So first track we heard was a track called Lost at Sea by Lemon Knife, nice Chicago band off of their Storms and Snakes EP. Fucking badass stuff.
Yeah, it was a pretty eclectical mix there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Vocalist on the front end.
Yeah, really good stuff. They're one of these bands that's got dueling vocals, so they've got a dude kicking it out too. But this is a track where the ladies take lead. So awesome stuff. And like I said, this week we are back local music after a week abroad, and we reached out this week to DIY Chicago on Facebook, and they were very generous, got back to us with more songs than we could possibly play on this week's episode. So we'll be hearing as much as we can squeeze in, and shout-outs to everybody. As to not leave anybody out, we'll give the shout-outs at the end, but if the song is not played this week, keep an eye out. It might be played on upcoming episodes because we got a really good response from DIY, and much love to that group. Always on top of shit. So very cool, very appreciative on that. And of course, as always, shout out to Three Piece, fucking killing it in the mornings. And that's how we fucking roll on Mild Sauce Live Saturdays.
Yeah, we got a lot going on all day long. Sean and Portia episode, man. I know you brought a lot of different stuff from around the city. I know that the fans out here, the people listening, want to hear what you've been to a couple shows too since we last talked. So let's get into it, man. Tell the people what's been up with you.
Oh man, as always, out and about in the city. There is shit. I don't even remember the last show that I was at since the last time we talked, but we've got a bunch of cool stuff coming up. One of the things coming up, and this leads us right into our well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. First things first. As always, our regular segment, what are we drinking this week? So we've got Revolution Brewing Cross of Gold, fucking awesome Chicago brewery. You can find them on beautiful Kedzie Avenue. And stop in, man. They got a great brew pub. They've got a great restaurant on, Milwaukee? So good stuff all over. I'm a big fan of Revolution, and I think part of that is because I'm kind of stumbling distance from the brew pub on Kedzie.
Is like a very appropriate way to say
I
it.
can pub crawl my way home from that bar. So. It's good stuff, and big fan. Like I said, get in their birthday club. You can get some growlers on the cheap, and always, this is one of those secret kick-ass fucking Oktoberfests.
Oh, is it an Oktoberfest beer?
Not an Oktoberfest beer,
okay.
but as a brewery in the city, they are always doing cool shit. And one of my favorite events that they do every year, obviously, we've got a few months, but keep an eye out. They do a great Oktoberfest, and I look forward to that every year.
The Cross of Gold is great too. It's a really easy.
Yeah, this is
comparable
a
to the
golden
last week's.
ale. This is a nice, easy drinker. It's really smooth. I don't know if you can tell. In the time we took to start the show, I already killed one. So.
You didn't have to let everybody know just yet.
Yeah. Well, Saturday drinking, it's good stuff.
Yeah. In addition to the beer that we bring every week, this one's actually very similar to last week. You brought the.
What did we have last week?
That last week was the team up.
Oh yeah, we had the Barroom Hero. That was another really smooth one too. This one's not as meaty, I think, but very clean, very crisp.
Good drinking beer.
Good, easy drinker.
Perfect
definitely.
for middle of a Saturday.
Yes.
Which is where we are right now.
Mm-hmm. Good for your post-brunch chill.
There you go. Right after the mimosa, you can grab one of these.
Mm-hmm.
Make that segue. Speaking of
Slip into a
segues.
nice afternoon. Yep.
Your T-shirt today is for a band named.
This is from Relayer.
Okay.
It's their last tour. I think about a year or so ago was the last time I saw them, but another great band. They are, if I'm not mistaken, it's a bit of a Chicago supergroup with members from Pelican, Russian Circles, and Rise Against. So good stuff. And this brings us into the next track and a upcoming show that I wanted to give a shout out to. So Relayer, this is from their debut album, The Shirt. But they've got a record release show coming at the Beat Kitchen on April 21st. So their second album is going to be coming out, and it's the album's titled Actual Existence. It's out April 21st. Like I said, there's going to be a record release show. You could be sure to find me there. And the track we're going to hear, just rolling right into some more local music, is called Artificial Horizons, from their new record, Actual Existence, which is not out until April 21st. Wild Sauce Live Saturdays. We're back. We were just listening to a bit of Relayer's new track, Artificial Horizons, off of Actual Existence, out on April 21st. Show at the Beat Kitchen. It's going to be fucking raw. So, this gets us right into our feature.
The feature.
Yep. So, the feature today is DIY Chicago recommendations. So, like I said in the setup, we reached out to DIY Chicago, and we got a great response back.
For the people who don't know what DIY Chicago is, can you explain it to them?
Yeah. Facebook group for DIY Chicago, as you can kind of plainly see. But it is music. It is DIY.
Rock music, indie music around the city.
It's more than music. I mean, it's performance. It's anything that's going on DIY. It's that repository for getting that information out there.
Kind of that internet hub for shows, underground shows, shows that you wouldn't find at like the Riviera, places like that.
Exactly.
If you're really trying to get to that, like the very essence of Chicago music, DIY Chicago is a great place to start. Get your fingers wet.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great resource for a local, entertainment fan. A lot of cool stuff going on DIY Chicago. And like I said, we put the feelers out on, give us a shout out on what we want to hear this week. And the response was very good. Like I said, we can't hit everybody, but I want to get right into it so we can get as much as we can in this week. So the first track we're going to hear, this was, and I want to give shout outs to everybody that that posted up because I was really appreciative. So Johnny Cummings, he is a band member in the XOKs, and he posted up and said, check us out. So we're going to check out Bothersome by the XOKs.
I've been unfaithful, I've been untrue, I've had to worry myself over you. But when I'm lazy, unmotivated, I always think to the times that have faded.
saw us live. So we were just checking out the XOKs with Bothersome, and they're a nice Chicago band. And then the last track we were just jamming out to was Smoking Gun by the band In Circles. That was submitted by Ramon Gullian. He's a band member. They, what was it? Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, we were doing a Saturday show. They played Friday night at the Gallery Cabaret, or else we would have given them a shout out.
Oh, yeah, and you were talking yesterday about maybe catching that one up there.
Yeah.
Gallery Cabaret was a newer venue that actually Raheem Salam of Sex No Babies invited me over there to catch a show, I think on like Tuesday night, and I got off work a little later than I wanted to get over there, but it's a venue I've been hearing a lot about, so...
Yeah, that was a new one to me. I have not been there yet, but we were asking around our crew yesterday, and one or two people had been there before, but definitely up and coming. So cool stuff.
Over there by the California Clipper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So that first track, I was really digging them. It reminded me of a like a retro British, pre-shoegaze pop vibe. Very Smiths.
A lot going on. I mean,
Yeah,
they have a lot of different vibes throughout the song. It's kind of, we always talk about it's a perpetual theme on the show, but Chicago bands, you just get so much, such a thick collection of sounds for whatever it is.
Yeah, great variety.
Great indication of that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I mean, that definitely gave me an early Smiths, Johnny Marr guitar vibe. Very cool. Love that stuff. And then we were listening to In Circles with Smoking Gun, and again, very cool, and stylistically, shifting over, that to me gave me a vibe of like a band called the Independents. They were a ska punk band that was produced by Joey Ramone, right before he passed away. They've got a few records out, very cool stuff, but that kind of gave me that Independence vibe. I really dug it too.
Yeah, it's an interesting part of having these conversations with you, not just once a week here, but also like, just hanging out with you during the week, is your ability to kind of link together like different movements and things. Like one of the more interesting things, one of the things I really enjoy when I'm talking to you is like what you just said, like the Ramones produced this band, and you talk a lot about like how Bad Religion on the West Coast. I'm talking about shit I didn't know about 3 weeks ago. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is just from talking to you. So,
Yeah.
but like when you talk about like Bad Religion on the West Coast, having such an impact, and Epitaph Records and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Yeah.
all right.
I'm proud of you,
Hey,
Jim.
man. But no, when you talk about all those things, I think that's the most interesting to me because it shows this like lineage through rock that I feel like, in other genres, and not to like fall back on like the whole R&B and rap, but you see lineage there really easy.
Yeah.
You can see when one guy hands it off to another, this guy's using this guy's flow and stuff. And rock, you don't see it as much, but talking to you, it does exist. And I think that's the coolest part is that we get from this rock discovery show is that you get to kind of, you get good music, you're hearing all this new stuff, but also all these little subtleties, that like most people wouldn't catch, that I think is like such a great part of this. But it is interesting to me, like how much were people like the Ramones influencing sound past the point where like their own music was, being influential.
Yeah, Ramones are a crazy band because if you listen to their early stuff and then contrast that with stories of people seeing them live, like Bad Brains, arguably the first hardcore punk band, said that they were inspired by watching the Ramones live. And the Ramones have always said that, we sped it up from the record when we played it live. So like you get that punk vibe from the Ramones, then that sparks the birth of hardcore from Bad Brains, and then it blasts across the country. And I love to me it's like music is a journey. You know what I mean? It's just like I'm in for the ride, and it's cool to see the evolution of genres, styles, how stuff influences other stuff and just kind of carries on and evolves.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, rock's been around for so long as a genre, or, in the contemporary music world as a genre that, it's been fractured. And it's like, again, something we talk about a lot, but it's been fractured into so many different places. It's not negative. It's like a positive. It's a testament to all these different influences and somebody taking this little bit and this little bit and putting it together. And again, you see that in other genres now that maybe don't have the lineage of rock yet and stuff like that, but you're starting to see that fragmentation. People are very confused as to what a rapper is today and like what an R&B singer is and what a soul singer. So there's a lot of different things like that. But yeah, I mean the twines or the little stretches that you have that kind of tie all these things together. Always very, very interesting.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. I think, at least to me, thinking about it, rock and roll as a sound, if we're going to talk, about like the evolution and just like what you're saying, I think sure there was, the Buddy Hollies and the Elvises, but that wouldn't exist without the, the Delta blues that inspired those guys. And, it's so, if you want to think about the birth of rock and roll, I almost see it as we're nearing 100 years, honestly, of rock and roll. You know what I mean? This is getting into Southern blues and how it evolves and how it grows. And without any of that stuff, you wouldn't have what we have today. And I think hip hop and other genres, especially look at like electronic, if you want to talk about, evolution, did it start with, Kraftwerk? I've also heard argue that, the Beatles' Revolution 9 is the first, electronic song. There was a guy named Steve Reich who was experimenting with sound collage, which is really interesting stuff. And that is also, talked about as the birthplace, the patient zero of electronic. And, with rock and roll, I think it's been around a little bit longer.
Right.
You know what I mean? All of hip hop, electronic, all that, other genres are, I think it happens in every one of them, but just, we've got the experiment of rock and roll for longest.
We got source material to work with rock, where other rock's been, like you said, 100 years. Yeah, we take it back to like what, the 20s, 30s, something like that.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I think it gets real nebulous because, you look back to like Howlin' Wolf or Screamin' Jay Hawkins or, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. I mean, these are people that don't get talked about in rock and roll circles. But
Susan Rosetta Tharpe, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's like the woman who was she was
a nun.
A nun who was just like one of the original rock. Like that's the story you've told me. It's like one of my favorite stories. Sorry. But yeah, every time you bring that up, that always
she's
me.
super old school and amazing. I mean, if you have that time, go check it out online. Sister Rosetta Tharpe. I think she was a Southern nun that played electric guitar and was considered a heretic, and people were very against her. But she was like, she was very positive about it and was like, Jesus gave me this skill, and I'm doing what Jesus wants. So that's
super dope.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's a very like punk aesthetic, to just kind of throw it back in the face of, the haters.
Yeah.
And I think people like that are the true birthplace of rock and roll. And it's so cool to have, these conversations where you see where it starts and then you get into the XOKs or you get into in circles and, just how things kind of expand and move around. It's really cool.
Speaking of how things expand and move around.
Yeah.
What do you got
coming up? Let's dive back into some more music. So, again, let me give a shout out to Allie Ettinger. She had suggested Synthetic. She's in the band. We're going to check out Used to You by Synthetic. They are from Galesburg, Illinois.
No place to go. Are your words true? I just need to be alone. Well, I don't give a shit. Nothing goes my way. We are just running our separate ways. For you, not new. So why I can appreciate you sick in my ways. You Jesus just took a life, gave one back today. For you,
and we were just listening to Invisible Cartoons out of Aurora, Illinois. The track was called Dance Partner, and before that, oh, what did we play? We played Synthetic.
Yep,
Used to use-
Synthetic. I like
Yes.
that name a lot.
Synthetic, yeah. Very good stuff. Vocally, very strong. I got a bit of a Patti Smith vibe off of that. Very cool
100%.
stuff.
And they're out of Galesburg, you said, right?
Synthetic, yeah, Galesburg. This is these are the two bands I believe out of today's set that are not City of Chicago bands. So,
That's all right. Galesburg
no,
doesn't have
no.
a lot going on out there, so we'll
Yeah, we're
put our
down
arm
with that.
around them this week. No, not only the voice, but the lead guitar on that was really dope. Like, going all over
Yeah,
the place.
real moody, real slinky. I dug that a lot. Very cool. They are actually. Wanted to give this a shout out. This was recommended by Allie Ettinger. She's in the band, and they will be playing May 25th in Kent, Ohio, at the Stone Tavern. So if you find yourself, and I don't know where the fuck Kent, Ohio is, but, but if you're out there, be sure to check them out because I really dug that band, and if I was in that town, I'd check it out too.
All right, well that's a decent enough sell, man. That's a
Yeah.
decent enough sell.
And then that the second track we heard was Dance Partner from Invisible Cartoons. They're out of Aurora. You know, again, I liked them.
Shout out the West Suburbs.
Yep,
Fox
Western
Valley.
Suburbs rocking it out. They gave me it was fun, nice change of pace. You know, we went from that moody stuff to that was a bit more like Brian Setzer Orchestra or Squirrel Nut Zippers. You know, very little bit of that retro swinger kind of vibe to it. I dug it though. It was playful. It was you know, very well done, melodic.
Well, I mean, it's very telling that like in your Back to the Windy episode, we're getting like just a ton of bands that are collected across the board. You know, as we said earlier, very indicative of the Chicago
Yeah.
scene. But yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense that we would be getting hit left and right from different angles all the time today because that is the city.
Yep. Windy days, Windy City, Mild Sauce Live Saturdays, good stuff. But yeah, I really dug those last two bands. And then we've got a couple more awesome ones up for you. So again, you know, this was, you know, this is one of the things I like about doing this show where like every week we're in a little bit of a different vibe. So last week we had that very Irish sounding, but I was trying to get away from the fiddles and the harps and all
Yeah,
that.
it
So trying to
feels
get
like
rid
that
of
was
the-
longer ago than just last week.
yeah. But this is very nice, and you know we heard some nice differentiation and eclectic styles, and we'll be getting back into a little bit more of that. So the next track we're going to hear is from a band called Swatches. If I'm not mistaken, they are a relatively new band, but again, shout outs to them. We're going to be hearing a track called Pamplemousse, and this was submitted by Gavin Schultz, and he's in the band. These guys have a nice groove. Hope you dig it too, but very fun stuff. And again, thanks to DIY Chicago for all these shout outs. It kicks ass.
Yep. Thank you guys for trying to just get in tune with what you're in tune with already and, you know, put it on the radio a little bit for you. This one we got is Pamplemousse by Swatches. Check it out. It's kind of hot.
And you are the softest summer shade. Bide my time, lick my lips, my lungs won't run today. And who cares if it's real or if it's not?
Mild Sauce live Saturday. We're just jamming out to Oregons Are Real, Harbor No Resentment. That was submitted by Tristan Zemstef. Sorry if I butchered that name,
Yeah,
but
I'm not good at names either. It's all right.
you know, as we were talking about a little bit earlier, that was a nice little transition from, that Swatches song was.
Hey, Swatches might be one of my new favorite bands now. Those guys are dope.
Yeah, that had a groove. Yeah, that was kind of a panty dropper with Papal Mouse, and then we switch into a little bit more introspective stuff. But again,
Yeah,
just
we
like we were
definitely
talking about all day today, it's that nice variation living in a big city and getting a nice variety of genres and styles.
Yeah, we're definitely bouncing around. But yeah, man, the whole vibe of that Swatches track was very dope. And they're out of where you said?
They are local, Chicago. If I'm not mistaken, that track was released January 18th, 28th, end of January.
Oh,
so
we'll
that's
definitely
fucking
get that on our
hot off the
best in
presses.
releases for Chicago. That's easily one of the best ones I've heard in a while.
Yeah, good stuff, and definitely keep an eye out. And not to give short shrift to Oregons Are Real, but that was good stuff too.
Yeah, I don't mean to do that at all. No,
Yeah.
that was just that was a really fun track. We really enjoyed that one.
Mm-hmm.
And as I mentioned, you guys can, as always, catch the latest singles, the best new singles, streaming from Chicago. Everything that's been released in the last few months. We try to compile that every night at 8 p.m. Right at Mild Sauce Radio, mildsauce.co/radio. So you guys can go in there every night from 8 to 10. We're playing all the new singles across all the genres. If you have any new music coming out, feel free to get it our way. We'll make sure to include it.
Yep, awesome. Great new fucking spot to hear the freshest tracks.
There you go.
But yeah, so let's see. What do we got next? Oh, we got... yeah, so this is... we got Adjunct Professor next? Okay, so...
Draper, The Hustle.
Yes. So next we got The Hustle. They just came out with a new track, but listening to their stuff, the band is called The Hustle.
That's a respectable name. That's
Yeah.
a Chicago band as well?
Yep.
Ah.
Another Chicago band. They were submitted by Alex O'Malley, and he's in the band. And, like I said, man, shout outs to everybody on DIY
Yeah,
Chicago.
man.
For being
Thanks,
cool.
Alex. Appreciate you.
Fuck yeah. And, this is a nice... they've got EP, and then they just came out with a new track. We're going to hear some stuff off of the EP. Not that the new song isn't good, but I dug the kind of the raw Detroit early garage vibe that this next track is going to convey. It's called Draper. And then after that, we're going to be diving into a little bit of String Figures. So check it out. Mild Sauce live Saturdays.
All right, here it is.
Part of me wants to leave you, but the rest of me wants to stay. I just want you to make it worth every single day. Say hi to Peggy. Lay on the couch, my heart is breaking like a levee. Goddamn, a Don Draper's drink. You know I'm heavy, 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 heavy.
we're back. Mild Sauce Live Saturdays, and we were just jamming out to String Figures with Adjunct Professor. That was submitted by Aubrey O'Sullivan, and thank you for that. That was pretty funny. I was digging the lyrics on that one. That was good.
We had no Sullivan. We just had no O'Malley on the last
Yeah,
last recommendation.
yeah.
This would have been more appropriate last weekend.
Right? A little bit of the Irish block hangover from last week. But yeah, earlier we heard The Hustle. Good stuff. And I think we've got enough time to squeeze in one more from our DIY recommendations, and we'll wrap that portion of the show up with a track from a band called Won't Stay Dead. This was submitted by Saffron Lair. Thank you for that. We're gonna.
Damn, hold up. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Won't Stay Dead, first of all, great band name.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Saffron Blair?
Saffron Lair.
Blair.
Yeah. Dig that name.
Hell of a name as well.
Hell yeah.
Shout out Saffron, man. That name is dope as hell.
Punk as fuck, but and it, you know the sound matches up to it. So, you know, again, big shout outs to everybody from DIY Chicago. I know we're running a little short on time, but I wanted to give shout outs to a bunch of people. You know, like I said, they came correct at DIY Chicago, and I want to give shout outs to everybody that submitted. And if we didn't play your track, you know, this was definitely something that I think we could do a semi-regular, you know, showcase of this. So, you know, thanks to Kathy Patino and Mello the Generation Hero, Mars Giola, Son. We couldn't get to your tracks, but I definitely did dig them, and we're going to swing on to them in future episodes. But, you know, thanks again for everybody. I think we can wrap this up on a couple of tracks. So we're going to hear Won't Stay Dead, Plug It Up from Won't Stay Dead, Plug It Up, submitted by Saffron Lair. Then we'll go out on another Chicago band called the Dragulas, and their track is called Succubus. And, you know, as always, shout outs to the 3-Piece in the Morning. Shout outs to Backcourt, which is going to be coming up in a little bit.
With the Souls of Liberty.
Souls of Liberty, fucking kick ass. You
Got
can
a big episode this week with March Madness.
And believe me, you know, I hang out and I catch these shows in the background. So, you know, they're good stuff, awesome stuff. Thanks to everybody. And then we've got, after the Backcourt, we got Police State. DJ Police State, fucking awesome, dude. And then what do we got? We got your show on Sunday, right, Jake?
I'm coming back, man. I was on a 2-week hiatus. We're coming back with Closed Sessions' new signee, Johnny Jones, who just dropped his new album, Cocoon.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to be talking to him about that. As always, you guys can always catch Mild Sauce Radio at Mild Sauce Radios, where we got the show streaming every Saturday and Sunday, right on Twitter at Mild Sauce Radio. Catch all our stories from the website and everything we got going on at mildsauce.co. And everything in between. We're always up on the website. We're always up everywhere else. We're keeping up to date. If you guys have any recommendations, like Steve said, we're trying to get in touch with the people more often over here. So hit us up, call us, come hang out for a show. We're totally open and open entity over here at Miles.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things that I look forward to most every week is to giving shouts out to Chicago music. So cheers, big ups, and as always, you can find me on the social at Collarbone666.
And then coming up here one more time.
Yep. So wrapping us up, we're gonna fucking go out with Plug It Up from Won't Stay Dead, and then the Dragulas with Succubus. Mild Sauce Live Saturdays. Cheers.
It turns out that the early reports were wrong, all wrong. Now, for that group out there that had such a hard time getting home, sorry about that. I guess the only thing we can do is play you a song.